Hello, how are you all doing today? I welcome all trainees to my third lecture. Through the last two lectures, we reviewed many aspects and characteristics of both STP, Science Technology Parks in general, and Korea Technoparks too. We learned about the background and process of their establishment, the current status, and the future trend. In my third lecture, I would like to discuss the performance of evaluation of Science and Technology Parks and Korean Technoparks. Okay, before discussing KTP evaluation system, let's find out what performance evaluation is, why we need it, and how to do it. The contents of this lecture are as shown here. We will start discussing from introduction and then talking about the issues related to the evaluation of science technology parks. After that, I will introduce you to KTP evaluation system and we'll end with the lessons and implications. First of all, we need to define what evaluation is. Evaluation is a systematic assessment of the design, implementation, or result of an initiative for the purpose of learning or decision making. We can define other way. Evaluation is a comparison of the situation before and after a development program has operated within it for a predetermined period. From my experience, I can tell you that students don't like their academic performances. Professors don't like the evaluation by students about their lectures either. Well, it seems to me that individuals, institutions, and even countries don't want to be evaluated. Then, why do we evaluate the performance of individuals or institutions? That's because evaluation helps you achieve the following 6 purposes. Evaluation provides periodic tests which give direction for improvement of work or project. Evaluation serves as a check or monitoring, and evaluation helps to determine the degree accomplished. And evaluation enhances our knowledge about something, and evaluation helps to improve the performance of a worker or organization. Also, evaluation gives satisfaction to organizers and leaders. The evaluation also provides answers to the following 10 questions listed here. The first question, what are the outcomes of the intervention? Here, intervention is like science and technology park establishment or management. Okay, that's kind of artificial intervention here. And what difference did the intervention make? And how and for whom? Did the intervention result in any unforeseen consequences, unintended or unexpected consequences? Did the intervention make any positive or negative impact? Is the intervention feasible and acceptable? Are the results credible, reliable? Is the intervention affordable and cost-effective? Are there any alternatives to investment on establishing science technology park? Are there any other ways? Can we scale up the project to increase its scope? If yes, how can it be scaled up? What aspects can be built on or replicated? So in other words, evaluation is essential to grasp and understand changes and outcomes through artificial intervention. In the case of a science and technology park creation, intervention is to use science and technology to promote economic revitalization in a specific region. We sometimes confuse monitoring and evaluation, but there is a clear difference between the two. Monitoring is an ongoing activity that begins and ends with the project. Monitoring involves collection and analysis of data, information on a routine basis to identify pattern, changes, and progress within the ongoing development intervention. Monitoring is conducted by internal team members. Monitoring helps the project team to discern whether inputs and resources are adequate to implement the activities. On the other hand, evaluation takes place at specific intervals of a project life cycle. Evaluation looks at the bigger picture and delves deeper into project outcomes, impact, and the overall goal. Evaluation utilizes data to unravel the effectiveness, relevance, and efficiency of a project design and implementation. And evaluation is conducted by not internal team members, by external evaluators. That's a big difference here. And evaluation seeks to understand how and why the intervention has worked so well and why it fails. In particular, monitoring is performed by internal members of STP, as I already mentioned, whereas evaluation is performed by external experts. So you have to pay attention to the big differences here. Now, let's move on the next chapter to discuss the issue of science and technology park evaluation. Both scholars and practitioners have made various efforts to properly evaluate science technology parks. The first step is to clearly define what an STP evaluation is. Various concepts of science and technology park performance evaluation have been suggested so far, including success measurement or identification of a stage of development and assessing their performance against their goals, and the impact assessment, and also revisiting the reasons why the initiative was developed in the first place. In addition, proper evaluation of science and technology parks requires answers to the questions presented here. Why do we need to evaluate science and technology parks? And what do we need to evaluate? How can we evaluate? And the last question is, what will we do with the evaluation result? As I mentioned in the previous lectures, an STP development is a long-term project that takes more than 10 to 20 years. It is unlikely that additional investment and support can be made in situations where an STP is not known where it is in its growth stage and whether it is performing well or not. So as STP matures between years over 5 and 10, they accumulate track records. So thorough review on these track records would be a logical step before further investment committed. And evaluation reports of science and technology parks can be used as guides to third-party investors. Track records and assessment reports of science and technology parks can be used to make important decisions. Decisions like, what are we going to do with all these underperforming STPs? Invest more or stop investing? So sometimes invest more may be the best strategy, but we have to have baseline. But management and competence and good governance should be demonstrated or guaranteed if you want to invest more. So if some science and technology parks become indistinguishable from business park or office parks, then a sale of the physical assets may be the best interest of investors, including universities and the local government. So we need to evaluate science technology parks because the current situation and the future prospects of an STP can be clearly understood through the evaluation and make decisions not to waste valuable resources. There are various opinions on what should be evaluated and which analysis unit should be evaluated. Bill Hogan, he's a British scholar, argued that the performance evaluation of a science technology park should include all 5-phased factors you can see here: input factors, structures, and processes, output, and impact. More detailed contents of these the factors are listed here. You can refer to later on. I don't have time to go into detail of all this. Others also argue that the performance evaluation of an STP should consider the units such as business on the park and institutions in the park, or science and technology park itself as a complex, or a region affected by STP's creation and existence. There has been a lot of discussion on which indicators to use to evaluate the STP as listed here. In the early stage of an STP, areas of land developed and the building space constructed may be common indicator. And number of companies located in STP and the number and the type of people they employ may be another indicators. Number of firms that have graduated from the park and their employment numbers might be another indicator. Income generated from rental and services, monthly or yearly and over time. Type and range of common services provided by the park, technology transfer, facilitation, and networking with the knowledge base. And funding for capital and operational purposes raised and spent might be another common indicator too. An inward investment project attracted to the region by the STP itself or in cooperation with others. So those are the common indicators presented by scholars in many countries. An assessment of these impacts requires an extensive survey of beneficiary businesses associated with science and technology parks. Such surveys need to probe the extent to which any positive changes which the company has experienced can be attributed to being located on the science technology park. Ask questions like, what would have happened otherwise? Without the existence of this STP, were these firms not moved or created in the region? These are very tough questions to answer. So we need to devise very detailed and specific indicators to evaluate these. To evaluate the success of a science technology park, it is essential to understand and agree on the goals that are most important to each STP, and then assess their performance against the goals using a set of performance indicators, as Monk suggested in 2010. He divided the performance indicators into 3 subgroups shown in this table here. Key performance indicators, including gross value added, growth in sales, additional jobs, and so on. And the second group, intermediate result, number, survival, and growth of startups, attraction of inward investment, and so on. And there's a third group, short-term management indicators of performance, total income and expenditure, area unleased at the end of a quarter, number of firms on STP, and so on. Many countries with the science and technology parks have conducted performance evaluation in various ways in the process of establishing and managing them. Now let's move on to the next subject, which is the performance evaluation of Korea Technoparks. Before the KTF evaluation started officially in 2009, government officials and agencies in charge of this referenced many STP evaluation cases in other countries, including US and Japan and Germany, and also England. Once 10 years have passed since the establishment of KTP in 1998, an evaluation system centered on management performance was introduced and conducted every year. And there are 5 purposes of KTP evaluation, as shown here. KTP evaluation aims to strengthen KTP's capabilities. And the evaluation of KTP induces satisfaction of local companies. And it wants to enhance the competitiveness of Korea Technoparks in general. And it also systematizes comprehensive performance management of a primary project. And the evaluation of KTP aims to enhance management efficiency and transparency. The evaluation of KTP is conducted on the legal basis, like the Special Act on Support for Industrial Technology Complexes and the Common Operation Guidelines for Regional Industrial Support Project. And also, they provide the reward and the punishment systems. KIAT, which is the abbreviation was Korea Industry and Technology. KIAT conducts the performance evaluation of Korea Technoparks on behalf of the Ministry of Small, Medium Venture Businesses. Before 2017, it was conducted by Ministry of Industry, Commerce, and Energy. KIAT sets up an evaluation plan at the beginning, and then present evaluation indicators and standards to KTPs. And KTPs prepare the previous year's management performance report and submit it to KIAT. Then, KIAT organizes an advisory committee and an evaluation committee by selecting experts in each field as committee members. Mostly 16 to 18 members were selected to conduct the evaluation. After completing the evaluation, KIAT notifies the evaluation result to the Ministry of Small, Medium Venture Businesses and KTPs. The ministry also notified the result to each provincial government. KTP's management performance evaluation takes place in 5 stages. The first stage, we call it performance report evaluation stage. The committee members, evaluation committee members, review the report presented by STPs and write evaluation opinions and raise some questions by questionnaires. The second stage is conducted to verify the quantitative performance provided by STPs. So several members get together and they go to and visit each science and technology parks in Korea. The third stage, we call it presentation evaluation. The presentation and the question and answer sessions by evaluation category were performed, and the final score table and the evaluation report are prepared by the members of a committee, evaluation committee. The evaluation is carried out every year from April to June, and the evaluation result will be announced around the end of August. The KTP performance evaluation combines the performance of three sectors, such as a management of organization and the major project and overall performance. And these 3 sectors consist of 11 evaluation categories, you can call it indicators, including leadership of the president of each KTPs, personnel, financial, and ethical management, utilization of physical facilities, satisfaction level of services provided, and degree of contribution and policy conformance. Each sector of KTP performance evaluation consists of several indicators and criteria, as shown in this table here. The evaluation of the organization management sector uses 5 evaluation indicators, as shown here. These numbers are the points assigned by each category. And these indicators are composed of 15 detailed evaluation criteria, as you can see over here. And individual contents of these criteria are as follows. Detailed criteria evaluation. Well, I don't have much time to review all this and then explain each one of them, and then you can just reference these criteria for if you want to use it. For the evaluation of a major project sector, 4 indicators and 11 detailed criteria have been prepared as shown in the table. For the evaluation of overall performance sector, results of satisfaction survey conducted by KIAT, targeting consumers, are used. The survey uses the sales growth rate of the supporting companies, the results of cross-evaluation, evaluating the evaluation between KTPs, and the follow-up measures for external audits, as a detailed criterion for evaluating the degree of policy conformity, the appropriateness of efforts to promote the local industries, and the business support is used. So as you can see here, it's quite complicated. KTP's management performance evaluation is divided into evaluation based on qualitative and quantitative indicators. Qualitative indicators are evaluated as the trend value for the past 3 years is compared with the overall KTP performance and evaluated in the upper grade, middle grade, and the lower grade. The 3 grades are used to evaluate them. Then, the score for each evaluation criteria is converted into a grade score considering the weight and then calculated as a comprehensive evaluation score, as you can see over here. So A gets 1 point, B is 0.8 points, and C is 0.6 points. The sum of the adequacy and the achievement of a target for each indicator is converted into the points allocated for the indicator. The measurement index for qualitative indicators include such as vision and strategy, leadership, ethical management, and degree of policy conformance. Qualitative evaluation indicators are evaluated relative to 5 grades based on the 2 to 4 detailed criteria with the points assigned to each indicator, as you can see over here. After listening to this lecture, you may wonder why the KTP evaluation system is just so complicated. Even I, who have participated in the KTP evaluation for a long time, have such a question too. And one of the reasons is probably because there are 19 KTPs, and they compete fiercely with each other for limited government support resources. So, you might be interested in how to use the KTP evaluation result. Since 2009, the KTP evaluation result have been used as important information to determine whether each institution has achieved the goal of its creation, the degree of performance improvement compared to the previous year, and whether or not there are differences in performance among institutions, KTPs. The evaluation result is also used as the basis for the decision of whether or not to extend the term of office by the head of Science and Technology Parks, and to pay bonuses to employees. Anyway, the evaluation appears to have contributed somewhat to the performance of improvement of Korea Technoparks. However, there are still areas to be improved regarding Korean Technoparks management performance evaluation. First of all, changes in the evaluation criteria every year raised the issue of maintaining the validity and consistency of performance evaluation. So you had to better maintain the criteria for as long as possible. Reliability of the data collected and reported by the Korean Technoparks and the burden of preparing management performance report annually. Third, too much focus of the evaluation of the efficiency and output instead of the effectiveness and the quality of the project. Fourth, the lack of incentives lead to lack of motivation, responsibility, and interest in evaluation. And introducing an evaluation system based on KTPs, mid to long-term plans, strategies, and annual business plans reflecting their regional circumstances and assets might be deficient here. The 5 presented here have been pointed out as the most problematic. In the future, through various efforts, Korean Technoparks and evaluation committees are expected to improve the evaluation system to be satisfied. I hope that the experience we have had in operating KTP evaluation system can be helpful in your case too. Here are 3 quiz questions. Okay, let me look at each one of these questions. The first one is, which of the following statement on evaluation is not correct? Do you remember the difference between evaluation and monitoring? And think about that. The first, evaluation is conducted by external evaluators. Evaluation is an ongoing activity that begins and ends with a project. Evaluation delves into the project outcomes and impact. Therefore, evaluation seeks to understand how and why the intervention has worked. So which one is not the correct answer here? Okay, question 2 is about which of the following is not a sector of KTP, management performance. Well, I mentioned the 3 different sectors, not indicators, sectors. So think about those 3 sectors. The first, organization management. Second, major project. Third, policy conformance. Fourth, physical development. Which one is incorrect answer? Choose one. Okay, quiz number 3. Choose the correct explanation on KTP evaluation system. The first, KTP performance evaluation is conducted every 2 years. I think I mentioned the law, based on the law, we have to conduct this evaluation. How often? Think about that. And 2, KTP performance evaluation uses only the quantitative indicators. Quantitative indicators. 3, KTP performance evaluation is carried out by evaluators composed of external experts. 4, leadership evaluation of Korea Technopark directors is not included in the system. So choose the correct explanation on KTP evaluation system. Among these 4, one is the correct explanation. Well, this concludes my 3rd lecture. If you have any questions about the lectures on the 3 topics so far, please feel free to contact me at my email address presented in the list slide, in the first slide of which lecture. Then I will answer as much as soon as possible. I hoped we can meet in the classroom situation and face-to-face so we can understand and communicate much better. But the COVID-19 crisis, pandemic, and we couldn't do it. Well, I look forward to seeing you one day in either Korea or in your country. Thanks for your attention. Bye.